Welcome to Foster the Meeple, channel all about board games.
And board gamey things.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Zach.
And today, this is our third in our Takeover series, we're going to do a trilogy. What are we doing a trilogy on, Zach?
Well, we've got one game here in front of us.
They're not going to guess. They're not going to guess.
Sometimes, when you see one thing, it's really an illusion. So what we've learned over time is that Mr. Eric Lang...
Yeah. Eric M. Lang.
Eric M. Lang. He likes a box.
He does.
He likes a big old box.
He does.
And he likes his boxes to get a little bit bigger.
Like
each game.
Well, let's just move this out of the way.
2021.
No, 20. Oh!
Ankh.
Wait a minute. So this
Looks familiar.
Is this 2018's Rising Sun?
I think it is. A game by Eric M. Lang.
Yeah, and CMON. Huh, that's weird. Let's just move this out of the way. Oh my.
And much like a Russian nesting doll. Russian, not rushing.
Okay.
There it is.
There it is.
First
Blood
game.
Rage. 2015. Eric M. Lang. First in the series of the trilogy. Life is battle. Battle is glory. Glory is all. In Blood Rage, each player controls their own Viking clans, warriors, leaders, and ship. Ragnarok has come, and it's the end of the world. It's the Vikings' last chance to go down in a blaze of glory and secure their place in Valhalla at Odin's side. For a Viking, there are many pathways to glory. You can invade and pillage the land for its rewards, crush your opponents in epic battles, fulfill quests, increase your clan stats, or even die gloriously either in battle or from Ragnarok, the ultimate inescapable doom. What do you think about that?
Sounds like a description of this very game.
It is. It is a description of Blood Rage. Let me tell you a little about Blood Rage. Blood Rage was one of my early purchases, and I really didn't know anything about it. Once again, new to the hobby. You're going to hear that from me a lot, even 20 years down the road. I'm just going to keep saying that just because it forgives me for not knowing much, maybe.
A Blood Rage. I know it's a game that you were incredibly into and one that you shared with me for the first time that I got to play it. And it was something that I thought was really interesting because I'd played area control games in the past, but this was the first one with big minis and things like that.
Yeah, I think for mini-wise, mine too. I mean, I had Scythe, so I was used to the mechs. But when it came to this game with the mythical monsters that you were adding, it was just like, okay, what am I getting into? That opened a whole new world of, I'm a kid again, I'm getting to play with figures, So what this game's about, though, is you start off, basically there's 3 ages. You start off in the first age, obviously, and it's a drafting, so everybody's going to draft some cards, and you pass the cards. So that kind of reminded me of when I was into Magic. The Gathering. So you're drafting a card, passing the cards over. The next person's going to draft. So you want to you can use the term hate draft, right? Because if you think what somebody's going to get, you might want to take it instead. So once you have your cards drafted, then it's a matter of using all the rage that you accumulate and can gain by sending your troops out on the map, controlling areas, pillaging to get further your rage, uptick your goal to get more warriors on the board. And basically, yeah, through getting the draft cards, you can get monsters that come out and they do certain damage, and it's just a really fun.
Yeah, I
fun
like
game.
that how when you see all these minis, you don't start with everything actually with your own faction. There's ones that you can draft no matter what faction you're in, and I thought that was a nice mechanic where you get to put your color base on one of these creatures.
Yeah, so one of the things you can do, which is kind of neat, is part of your drafting. You can draft monsters. There's battle cards because you're going to have to fight. The cool thing about fighting is when you're in a territory, if you're going to go pillage, then anybody in the surrounding territory can then join in there, and basically you can end up battling. So there's battle cards, and they each do a separate thing. But there are quest cards. So quest cards might be like control the most force in a certain area. So if you have more power in a certain area and your quest card is fulfilled, then basically you get all the points from that. And you can get points for having your guys be dead in Valhalla. So there's so many different ways to play this game. Like I said, I've played this probably half a dozen times or more. Definitely probably more. And every time I really enjoy the play. Like you saw in our top 11 video, this was on my list. and my mom's played it, so it's kind of accessible. It's an easy game to pick up and wrap your head around, even though it seems like a lot's going on. I played this with a lot of my friends, and all the reactions are definitely positive about this game.
Yeah, I think that's something we'll see in common with a lot of these games by Eric Lang, is that they look like a lot at first, but when you actually just start playing it, you realize, oh, this is pretty manageable on a turn-by-turn basis. And then it's more about figuring out your strategies and how are you going to maximize your potential points and earn victory.
Yeah, if you're good at drafting, then you're going to do very well in this game, because if you draft well, you're going to have a lot of power to go through a lot of stuff. So yeah, so this is Blood Rage 2015, Eric M. Lang.
All right.
Jeez. Rising Sun 2018. This game is awesome. I got this game probably 2019 and just played it last year. I don't know why. Too many games, and this just got overlooked. It seemed really complicated for me to learn and play. I don't know why, and it really isn't.
Well, it's not only that, but it is a 3-player minimum.
Yeah, and I think my very first play of this was at our first board game weekend with Jeff and Jamie that we played this. And I'm just going to tell you a little about Rising Sun. Rising Sun is a board game for 3 to 5 players set in legendary feudal Japan. As the kami descend from the heavens to reshape the land in their image, it is up to each player to lead their clan to victory. Use politics to further your cause. Negotiate to seek the most profitable alliances. Worship the kami and gain their favor. Recruit monsters out of the legend to bolster your forces. And use your resources widely to be victorious in battle. So that's Rising Sun's description. I absolutely love this game. The board for this game is massive. It's just got just the whole feudal Japan, like it's stated. It's just, and the samurais and the
Ronin.
Yeah, the Ronin. It's every aspect about this is super cool, and I love the mechanics. You start off every season, so you're going to go through spring, summer, and autumn, going into the winter, and then the game ends. At the start of every season, you do what is called a tea ceremony. So at that time, and that's why it's 3 to 5 players, because really at the tea ceremony, you can then see if you want to ally with somebody.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty neat, being able to make the alliances. And then part of the mechanic that is in there is that there's an action that you can choose that makes you betray your ally as well. But while you have an alliance, then you get to share in, when you choose an action, not just getting that main action, but getting a bonus with it, and then your ally also gets that bonus, which the other players will not get the benefit from. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so the phase right after what he's referring to, right after the tea ceremony, is called the mandate phase, political phase. So basically you'll play mandates, one person will pick, so you keep passing the pile on. Everybody has to choose from 3, then they'll pass the 2 over, and then they'll draw and continue like that. And like he said, that if you are allied with somebody, then basically from that mandate you could get a bonus for that, being an ally. Once you're past the mandate phase, you'll go, the first is 3, then you'll go into basically a worship phase, and the worship is done at the top of the board. And if you happen to send any of your Shintos, if you send a Shinto up there, they're basically worshiping. So at that phase, you get any bonus if you have the most Shintos on that worship, or the
there's like 4 squares, and then each one has a different benefit, so you can put your figure on that square and they accumulate, and then you can get that bonus multiple times. Yeah, so like you can put your Shinto figures on those 4 tiles, and then if you are the person with the most figures on that, you get the benefit. But if you're tied, then it's is it a
whoever has the most honor. So really, it's based around honor. So and the cool thing about it is every clan has a different ability. Zach's playthrough, he was the turtle clan,
which was awesome. My strongholds could move because they were giant turtles. So like my strongholds, instead of just looking like a fortress, were actually turtle shaped, and I could move them from place to place, and they could attack with me.
Yeah, they counted as 1 force, so it's a really cool aspect. Each clan has a different ability. So basically once you go through the mandates, all the political phases, and then the worship at the end is a battle. And at the beginning, you randomly put out the tiles in which areas of Japan are going to be in battle. And then the cool feature I like about the battle is then you're getting into, you have your money, your funds, you have cards you could potentially buy, and creatures. But when you get into the battle, everything's hidden. But everybody knows when you're about to battle with somebody how much Ronin or how much money you have at the time. And you have different aspects, and you go left to right. So you start with seppuku. Seppuku, yeah, which is honor killing. So you get points for that. But if I only had $3 on that and Zach had 4, then he would do it before me. And you can capture people, you can hire Ronin to get out there, extra fighters, and then you battle, and then whoever wins the battle, the last one is you can vote on the what is it, the poetic something.
I think, isn't that like for every figure that dies?
Yeah, so you get basically bonus points for that as well. So, and then the basically the feature that you were weirded about, and you weren't 100%
like
on.
you have to spend, you collect all this money, you spend lots of time doing that, and then you have to bid it. And if you know that you're going to be in more than one battle, like at first I was thinking, well, I got to stretch this in case I lose. I need a little bit to continue going, but what happened is lost the first one, and then every bit of money, every single coin that someone bid to defeat you, then gets given to you. Or if they were defeating 2 people, it would get split between the 2 people.
Yeah, so it's kind of a cool little feature because you can kind of plan out where the battle's going to happen.
Yeah, well, you have to be very careful because if, for example, Jason attacked me and spent all of his coins, and then we had another larger battle later in the round, I would then be able to spend all of that to take him out in that round. But after that round of battle is finished, also your coins reset to your base coin amount, which I didn't understand was going to happen necessarily either. So it's just like, look at all these coins I amassed in the first round, and then Jason's like, all right, and now we all reset back to our starting amount. And I'm like, all right, so that
should have read the manual. Yeah. Don't rely on me to tell you if I'm winning. To tell you the whole facts. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's Rising Sun. Once again, this is on my top 11, which you already would have seen. High up there. I love Blood Rage and Rising Sun a lot. They're just fantastic games. Whoa, 2021's Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
3 years later, we had Blood Rage, and then now we have
the trilogy is complete with Ankh.
And this is actually the only one of the 3 that is actually mine.
Yeah.
Jason owns the first 2. This one,
I don't like that.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I backed this one on Kickstarter though.
Yep.
From Egypt.
Yeah, from Egypt he got this. So.
And then it was luckily right when I arrived back from Egypt. Yeah, here it is.
3 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Play as a god of ancient Egypt. Competing to survive as society begins to forget the old ways so that only you and your followers remain. Build caravans, summon monsters, and convert followers in your quest to reign supreme in Ankh, Gods of Egypt.
So, 3rd game in the series, 3, and it's actually the 2nd game in the series that I played because I played Rising Sun after we played Ankh for the first time.
Yeah, it's Rising Sun, like I said, where I just broke it out late last year. Zach wasn't around. He was in Egypt still. So, as soon as he got this, we got this right to the table. Because, like I said, I played Blood Rage, I played Rising Sun, both loved them, and I knew right from the get-go that this was going to be a good game.
And I think what's different in this one is that there are a lot of similar mechanics, so you see a lot of features that you saw in some sort of way or another in the first 2 games. This one also includes a scenario book, which, depending on your player count, tells you how you initially set up the board.
Yeah.
So you have different monuments, you have the pyramids, you have the obelisks, and you have the temples. And depending on which scenario you're playing, you start with different players in control of those in different regions. And you also start with your god and one warrior, usually in different locations. So it's, at this point, I've only played 1 2-player only scenario with Jason, where the entire upper region was cut out, which I thought was good. Yep. And then I've played in the 3-player version, the first scenario, which would have been good for 3 to 5 people. It just gives you 4 different images where you can select the correct setup for yourself.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first playthrough. Once again, just going off of one playthrough so far.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be playing this a lot more. Next board game weekend, we're going to be playing this. I loved uh, everything about this game. I didn't get to play the merge though. There's a lot of talk about the merge. You got to
Mm-hmm.
play that. I'm sure you'll talk about that. But in the two player, you don't do the merge. But you can be booted out of the game basically if you don't cross a certain line for followers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a while there where I thought, I think maybe both of us thought, like, oh, we're getting close to that last event that will eliminate us. And I think we were both still in the red zone at that point for our devotion.
Yeah, it's you know it's the whole concept of basically how you take your actions and everything. I really like.
Yeah, well, it mitigates a lot of things by only giving you four main actions. You can move your tokens, which allows you to move up to 3 spaces, any of your figures. You can summon a new figure, and the figures can be summoned next to a monument you control or next to one of your other figures. You can amass followers, basically, or gather followers, which is essentially the currency that you use in various points of the game. And the last one is unlocking Ankh powers, which give you permanent increases in your abilities and buffs, but you can only have 2 from each potential 4 for each first, second, and third level.
Yeah.
And each of those also, for the first level, unlocking your second one allows you to get one of the figures, the extra figures with more abilities. You randomly select 3 different ones at the beginning of the game. And then the 4th ability will get you another one. And then the 5th ability, when you're in the 3rd round, gets you another one. Each time you have to pay 1 follower, 2 followers, 3 followers to unlock one of those powers.
Yeah, it's a really cool mechanic. And I like too how as you're progressing, because once you've exhausted kind of I guess a certain action that you're going through, it resets and then it's moving the game track ahead.
Yeah, so there's like not just your point track and your action selection track, but there's also another one which is the event track. So once you get to the end of the move track, you can only select for your 2 actions that are lower than the one that you've just done. And they each have a finite amount before they trigger an action event. And if you trigger one of those events, your turn stops, even if it was only your first action.
Yeah.
But along that track, there's set events that will happen. Like, all right, if you're the one that triggered this event, then you can control a new monument that you're standing next to. Eventually, that will be a combat phase that will be triggered. And if you're the one that triggered it, you get the tiebreak token. And then the other one that's in there is the camel action.
Camel up. You can camel up in this game.
Which is a really interesting mechanic because it lets you subdivide the regions. So once you subdivide a region, you can choose which action phase it'll take place in, because we have kind of like you did by laying out the cards in Rising Sun, there's a different action order based on which is region 1, region 2, and region 3. And with the camel, you can rearrange that. So you might have someone that is at an advantage because they have a really good position at the number 1 region. So they're going to resolve first and get all those points.
Yep.
But if you can subdivide it with the camels to put them at a disadvantage and make a new region that you're able to get to, or that just splits up something that's giving them strength, like the monument majority that they're getting, you can really do a lot with that. And there's only a set limit of 3 per game. So when you get to use that ability, you really have to think out, well, how am I going to do this that's going to be the most advantageous to myself?
Yeah, a really cool mechanic. And separated a spot that you were in. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. But then, you were kind of took over. You ended up winning that game. But what did you think of the merge mechanic, though, when you did play it?
We played with 3 people, and I was one of the people that ended up having to merge. So it was one of those situations where we probably should have thought it out more, because we were in a big battle with each other, and I was slightly ahead on the point track, but I used all of my followers against the other person who had more followers than me. But because he was still behind on the point track, all of his followers went away, and then we only had 1 left between us. So there were things like that. But you have the lower god basically merge with the higher god. In the Kickstarter version, you get like a little plinth or pillar that you can put them on. Yeah. Otherwise, you just snap the lower god's color base onto the higher god. You swap the god abilities, because each god that you have in the game has a different like ability that they can use, and when you merge, you get both effects of them, and you only keep the figures of the higher god. All the monuments controlled by the lower god are destroyed. Their god is taken off the board. All their warriors are taken off the board, and then you get the same Ankh powers lined up with the higher god. Now, how it differs is that you have, instead of 2 actions each, you have 1 turn, 1 action for the higher god, 1 action for the lower god. But what makes this a really powerful catch-up mechanic is that you can choose the same action twice, where if I were doing my regular turn and I'm on my own, I can move, but I can't move again as my second action.
Okay.
But now when you're merged, you can do that, which is really powerful because you can rush to those events and trigger them to your advantage.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So the third game in the series, Ankh, Gods of Egypt. I think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, we've got right now the Kickstarter version with the stretch goals, but we don't have any of the expansions. I wasn't sure because I hadn't played so much of Blood Rage and Rising Sun,
but now knowing that,
in hindsight, I think it could have been worth it. I've heard some good things, but the expansions will come to retail. I don't know if the exclusive, if I'm too worried about like the couple of figures that it would have been.
Fair.
But I'm mostly interested in trying any additional mechanics that are added to it, because I think it's a solid game so far at 2 and 3, and the people that I taught it to just on, I believe it was Saturday, they were looking at it and thinking, okay, when are we getting this in the store? When can we get our own copy? So
yeah, I think it's going to be a good, like, I know a lot of people regretting not picking up Blood Rage because it's a hard one to get. Lance had it in the store, went pretty quick. And Rising Sun, I don't know if he's had that in the store. I don't know if availability, if they're out of print right now,
or it's not available really, like, or it's backed up. So
yeah, these are ones you want to jump on. They're great games. So that was the trilogy of games by CMON, designed by Eric M. Lang, with some great artwork. Look up all the games there. Check out the artists and give everybody some love that's put into this. But so if you had to pick an order of the 3 games. And starting your 3, 2, and then your number 1 overall.
I think that if I were to put it at number 1, and this is recency bias, of course, because like I've just played Ankh and I've just played Rising Sun recently. It's been a while since I've played Blood Rage, but I do think that after playing Rising Sun, I still think that I enjoyed my initial plays of Ankh a little bit better.
Okay.
I do like that you can get away with playing with 2 players, because it can sometimes be difficult to get that third person. I did like the mechanics that were in Rising Sun. The alliance thing, when we were playing, you didn't have an alliance, I think, until nearly the end of the game. And I don't think that it really hurt you.
It didn't hurt me too much, but I think because people were more somehow not attacking me as much or not seeing out the battles, because we had a lot of newer guys, so I think it would matter, I think, if you had people that really understood the game a lot more. And I think
I wasn't really aware of the negotiation aspect. And that's true. Like, one of my ally asked me for something and I misunderstood, like, because if you don't have coins, you can't do actions in the battle, and you can be put in a tight spot. And I was assuming you needed like half my coins, and he actually needed like 1 or 2, and I was like, oh.
So what would be your number 3? What would be the least of the good games?
For me, I think from my initial feelings, I would put Rising Sun at number 3, Blood Rage at number 2, and Ankh at number 1.
Ooh.
So Blood Rage, I mean, I was more hyped on Blood Rage than the Rising Sun. I missed out on the Rising Sun sort of hype train, I think. True. And Blood Rage was the one that I heard a lot about, and then we finally got to play it. And I did like, with that one, it's unlike Ankh, which has basically a version of actual Egypt, and Rising Sun has a map that is essentially Japan. Blood Rage had like this circle, and I liked the idea that there was that center spot that's kind of difficult to get to, difficult to control. And you could try to rush to it and get those advantages, or maybe you try to stay around the fringes. Didn't some of the areas start to like basically.
So
was the
Ragnarok, so
destroys the
Ragnarok, they would be destroyed. So it's slowly taking a land away bit by bit. And at first, there's one land that is destroyed. But like I said, if you have the expansions, then you can.
And I'm just sort of recalling that now, thinking back on it, and like I really enjoy in I was gonna say in Camel Up, where in Ankh, where you get to use those camels to change the regions. I just think that's a really interesting mechanic because you can change the order number between the two that you make, but then you can switch one of them with any other number on the board. So you can set yourself up if it's timed right, where no one can get to you in a spot where you can score some good points. And I like that. I like the fact that in Blood Rage, these places are getting sort of destroyed as they go. In Rising Sun, I didn't quite understand how the scoring tokens worked with that final bonus. I was thinking, if I have 3 of the same thing, that's a good bonus. But no, it's like if you have 3 different regions or 5 different.
whatever Rising Sun.
So
fair.
I didn't quite understand that. So the strategy that I used was horrible. It was just,
and that's play. It comes with just learning. I mean, with any game, right? So no, that's not surprising. I mean,
I think that's what it'd have to be for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go number 3 as Ankh. And the reason is just because I only played it once. That first playthrough, though, when we first played, I was just like, because I was just like, I made a bad move, and I was just like, this has ruined my whole experience. But then it didn't. It was just, it's just like aha moment, and then just getting to place the camels, like Zach said, it was awesome. So.
Yeah, and you had Osiris, so you got to lay down these underworld tokens that gave you, what was it? You could summon people.
So you could summon people from them, and no one could build or summon their people on it. So it was really cool. So I mean, Ankh 3 right now, but I'm pretty sure that's gonna go to number 1 after a few more plays. Number 2 would be Blood Rage. I don't know why Blood Rage is not higher than Rising Sun, but my number 1 is Rising Sun. Really though, the more I keep thinking about it, Blood Rage should probably be number 1. But Rising Sun is number 1. It's probably just because I played that recently a lot, and I need to get Blood Rage to the table more. But I just think Rising Sun's really cool. I just like all the aspects of it. It's just there's just so much to it, and it's just fluid. So that's
Rising Sun. I don't know if I would ever want to not be the turtles. Like I saw the one faction or group that can fly to any location.
The dragonfly.
That's cool, but turtles.
Yeah, turtles, man.
That's
turtles.
Pretty awesome.
So, anyways. If you like this video, drop a like in the comments. This was our number 3.
All right, and the other thing is, you can find Foster the Meeple on social media.
Social media?
Yeah, it's in Instagram. It's on Twitter. There's a Facebook. That's the one that's
at Foster the Meeple.
So great.
At Foster the Meeple. Okay, people?
At Foster the Meeple, Twitter, Instagram. Check it out there. Yeah. Join the Discord. Lots of chat going on there.
Crazy
you can play some games with our community and with Jeff and Jamie. They're playing games on Board Game Arena and things like that. The Root app is going off on the Discord, really popular.
Yep.
And
Patreon, if you're interested in their Patreon, feel free to do so. It's not a requirement, but it's something you can look into if you want. It definitely helps support the channel at Foster the Meeple. Also, if you like this, leave a comment, hit the thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed, tell all your friends, visit your local game store, and we're out of here.
See ya.
Later.
Womp womp.
Weep, weep, weep.
Done.
Done.